Hey guys, Curious Hobbyist here. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to modify the content files of another game from Steam called Love is Dead. This game is a sequel to an online flash game called I Saw Her Standing There. Interestingly, I'd actually played that before. Here's some gameplay of it. There's also another Flash game that's a sequel to that. However, it's more of a puzzle than a platformer. And finally, let's install the Steam game. Recently, this game was 10% off until 7th of June, so I went ahead and got it before the deal ended. Anyways, let's open the game. When I did that, I noticed the game was very slow and choppy, especially with the screen recording running. However, the game has some options, and this includes graphic options. So I looked in those, and no wonder, the game is running at a very high resolution of 3840 by 2160 pixels, aka 4K, and the reason is likely as follows. I am using a 4K Dell monitor. The game seems to run a native resolution by default. When a game runs a native resolution, that means it's exactly aligned with the pixel density of the monitor used. So because the monitor is 4K, the game defaults to 4K when you first launch it. And my computer can't seem to handle that well. However, the graphic settings are highly flexible. I'm going to choose 1280 by 720. I usually export my videos in this setting anyway. Once I did that, the game became a lot more responsive. However, it was still showing a bit of chop. Here's why. Again, I'm using a 4K monitor. That also means my screen recordings are native resolution, so full screen recordings are 4K. However, you can also put the game in windowed mode. When you do that, the game window will always run in native resolution, although that doesn't really improve the speed any, yet at least. The data rate of the recording is still Ultra HD. So, I stopped this recording and started a new one of only the game window. This will make the game even more responsive, even in your recording. So, if you're trying to record a gameplay video, or just to play a game for that matter, and you're having performance issues, look for the game's graphic settings and your display and screen capture. There's always a cause for a problem, and the solution is always to find that cause. Also, the game includes a multi-profile interface. That means your story progress is saved in a profile. If another person starts playing, they can then start to use another profile. And it was actually there at the game's release. So now, let's modify the game. Firstly, here's how to find Steam games on your system. Steam gives you an option to open games directly through the Steam client, or to create simple shortcut apps that also open the game. So, launch the game either way, and now it's time for the next step. Once you open a game, both Steam and the game you're playing will be visible in your dock and your app switcher. By the way, I recommend you start to use this. To do that, hold down the command key and press tab. This will show all your running programs. To close them, simply press the Q key while holding command. This can be used to close applications when you don't need them running. Anyway, back to finding the game. When you open any app, it shows up in your dock. And Mac versions of Steam games are just that. Apps. So this is the actual game. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, click and hold or right click on this very icon on your dock. Point the mouse to Options and select Show in Finder. This shows a Finder window with the actual game. You're now browsing a deep folder on your computer with any other Steam apps you may have installed. This place is more complex to reach otherwise. Speaking of which, I'd recommend doing the following. Right-click the folder that contains your games, then select Make Alias. You can then move the alias to a different place that isn't as hard to reach, like, for instance, your desktop. You can then drag it to your Finder sidebar and or the right side of your dock. Okay, back to the game. I can now modify the actual app. Right-click the app and select Show Package Contents. This will take you inside the app. You'll now see a folder called Contents. Click on that, hold down the Command key, and press I. Or, right-click the folder and select the option for Get Info. This shows a window with the folder info. Interestingly, with all 5 Steam apps I've installed, my user account already had permission to edit these contents. However, in the case of apps from the Mac App Store, your user account won't have the privilege. Instead, your system will. So, in that case, click on the drop-down for everyone and select the Read and Write option. To apply this, click on this lock to enter your password to make changes. If you own the computer, you likely have an admin account and its password, so you can do this on your own. However, you can't do this as a guest or standard privileged user. You'll need to ask for help from the admin, aka the owner. Anyways, click on this gear drop-down and select Apply to Enclosed Items. Finally, confirm this at the top of the info window. This will actually apply the changes. However, I didn't need to do this. I could have already gone to the next step. So, let's finally go into the app's contents. Okay, I can already tell that this game is made with Unity, because I've already seen similar files in other games like Frozen Freefall and Stunt Mania Reloaded. When I see this pattern, I usually check for a data folder, which usually has these level files. So now, like I've already done a few times now, I'm going to swap the names of these 2 files called Level 0 and Level 1. Then I'll start the game. When I do this, the game starts at the title screen menu, whereas normally, in case you haven't noticed, the game starts with this intro playing. So it's safe to say level 0 is the intro, and level 1 is the title menu. Okay, before I go further, I'm going to go over the basic gameplay real quick. When you start the game, you're going to be brought to this level selection / world map. When you select a level, the level starts with a narrated sentence,
"Them lovers had to cooperate to get by,"
and a gridded level layout. Okay, next modification. I've already swapped levels 0 and 1 back to show you the intro. So now, I'm going to swap levels 1 and 2 and open the game again. The intro plays because I swapped level 0 back into its place. However, after the intro, I was then taken to the profile setup prompt. However, I didn't select another profile to use. That's pretty interesting.
Around, kids. I've got a story to share.
And yet, it doesn't stop there. Where is this profile? To find out, let's swap the levels 1 and 2 back. Now, let's look at the multi-profile interface. The second and third slots don't seem to be taken. I chose to use the first one. It doesn't seem to be overridden. I'd finished a few levels already. In the other one, I only completed 1 level. This brings me to the next experiment. I'm going to swap the files once again and start the game. It still defaults in the profile screen, so this might be a profile that can't be saved. However, I tried setting it up, and the second level was still unlocked, so this is a secret save slot. Another thing is that because it starts at the profile setup, you can actually select your own characters before the gameplay starts. How cool is that? It's also noticeable that this file can't be copied and can't be erased. That's because you can't access the file normally through the interface, so its game progress is permanently saved. And these modifications only scratch the surface. I still have a whole bunch of modifications to do. I can't show them all in this video. And I will be doing more experiments in my next Love is Dead episode, because the next one will not have the same introduction content. For now, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If so, feel free to like it, share it with family and friends, and subscribe for more interesting videos. If you want to be notified of my new uploads, click on the bell that shows up right when you subscribe. I usually try to upload new videos on Saturdays or Sundays. Also, you can check out my channel. To do that, click on my icon or channel name just below the video. If you have questions or requests, you can let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching.